Okay, this is a quick tutorial on task 2 for questionnaires and interviews, and we're going to be considering in this quick tutorial how to select a suitable sample size and issues to do with a suitable sampling strategy that you would use if you were conducting questionnaires and surveys. So let's first of all consider sample size. Now, there is no correct answer to this. Generally speaking, the bigger a sample size, the better. Polling companies that poll people's attitudes in the UK generally would see 1,000 samples as the minimum that they would be willing to conduct if they were trying to get an impression of what's going on in the whole society. Clearly that is not possible in terms of your own individual investigations were you to be using a questionnaire. There are some sort of general rules with questionnaires. First of all, that they are much quicker than interviews, and because they're quicker, you tend to be able to get a much larger sample size. If you were interested in doing statistics, you would be looking to get a minimum sample size of 10, which would then allow you to do some statistics using your data. Time would also be a consideration. So once you had determined how long each questionnaire took to conduct and how many people were not stopping to answer your questionnaires, then you would be able to figure out exactly how many you could do in each hour and therefore how many you could conduct in the day. So that might be if a questionnaire was quite long and took quite a while and a number of people were not stopping when you're trying to stop them on the street, for example, then it might be that your sample could only be 20 or 30 in size. Likewise, though, if it's a very quick sample, or maybe it's one that you've put out online and made available to thousands of people, or maybe you've lettered people on a number of streets, you can increase your sample size. But of course, you might not get them all back. And that's the difference between you controlling the sampling strategy, where you go out on a street and gather your data, or whether you're relying on people to complete things for you in their own time, whether that be a paper document or a online survey that you've sent them. So your sample size, there's no simple answer. You just would have to select a suitable size, and then when you're justifying it, what you should want to do in this question is explain why you've chosen that sample size in the context of all of the points that I've just made. So at this stage, I would rewind possibly and think about all of the key factors that are going to influence your decision that you're going to make. You have to decide on a number when answering this question, but what's important is not the number, but why you've decided to select that number. And you're looking for at least 3 key ideas behind why you've selected that number of samples. Okay, that's part 1 of this question. Part 2 is a sampling strategy. So here's where you have to start considering some important things. First of all, you are going to very possibly want to get data that covers different groups of a population. So it might be different age groups, for example. That means you're going to have to have a stratified sampling strategy where you specifically target different age groups. Likewise, you're going to possibly want an even number of males and females. If that's the case, you're also going to have to be systematic in your sampling strategy. Stratified in your sampling strategy, because you are having to make sure you get 15 women and 15 men. However, the people you physically stop on the street, you'll need a strategy there. Will you stop every person that walks by or every third person? And once you've got a certain number of people, that maybe 10 younger people, you might then have to start targeting older people, which means that you're going to have to be stratified again, because you're going to have to ensure you target that particular age group. It's random could be appropriate if you were wanting to have no bias whatsoever in terms of who you survey, but the problem is you can end up just surveying all young people and end up with no data covering older people or women and have no data covering men. So think about your sampling strategy, decide which one it's going to be, and then just justify it with a couple of key points.